Hey, so one of the perks for my Patreon supporters is a quarterly Ask Me Anything Q&A. I've made the Q&As to be a Patreon only video. However, the purpose of a perk is to hopefully draw in new supporters, and if I don't tell you about that, you're not going to know about it. So one of the things I want to remind you is that InRange is completely demonetized. We don't make money from YouTube. It doesn't matter if you're YouTube Red. We have no sponsors. We don't receive anything from them. We've been demonetized proactively, meaning not by YouTube but by ourselves, for over 7 years. I turned off my AdSense like 7 or 8 years ago. Link in the description below. It's you, the viewer, that keep this channel alive. And so one of the perks is this quarterly AMA. And one of the questions was about inclusivity in the firearms community and what to do and how as an individual. And so I'm going to share with you the answer to that one question here, because it's a worthwhile conversation to be had, and let you know that this is now a quarterly perk for Patreon supporters. If you want to help us, patreon.com/InRangeTV. Otherwise, here's my answer to that question, and I hope you find it thought-provoking. Thanks. Can you speak a bit on how to balance being a gray man and being a clear ally when out in the wild? Does self-preservation in public take priority over projecting a commitment to reject oppression? Are these two concepts fundamentally incompatible? Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it depends on your situation. If you already come to the table with a bunch of privilege, someone would say that would be someone like me, right? A relatively middle-class white guy, sometimes wearing very white guy clothes. I just have like an old desert vest on here, although my shirt does say visualize industrial collapse, so I don't know. You bring to the table less risk to be more vocal, and so therefore I think it's on people such as myself. And some of you out there are going to have different opinions, and that's okay. This is a Q&A, and you're asking my opinion, so I'm giving you mine. People like me kind of have the ability, with that privilege, to say more. And it's therefore on us, in my opinion, to say more. Because it's really unfair to ask people who are already at risk to put themselves at greater risk for a cause they shouldn't have to fight in the first place. At the same time, you kind of have to. If you're a person that's marginalized or at risk, you have no choice but to be in the fight. But to be in that fight sometimes does mean you need to prioritize your survival, your happiness, your prosperity, whatever you want to call it, over the fight. Meaning wearing and doing things that are intentionally, publicly provocative when you already have many targets on your back already is a hard ask. And I don't think anyone should be asked to do that. Because in the general hierarchy of needs, basic survival comes first. And in a highly dangerous and toxic space, where there isn't a choice but to survive, to expect someone to add another giant rock to the bag of rocks that they're having to be forced to carry down the road because of social norms or other issues isn't reasonable. So I would say it depends on your situation. It also depends on what you're doing. There are times and places for you to be proactively provocative and to be a more obvious ally. However, you don't have to be an obvious ally to be an ally. There's many ways to be an ally without going out and starting or picking a fight, whether it's in real life or on the internet, which are really the same thing. You can be an ally to the people around you. You could be a kind, true friend. You could be there to be a support. You could provide financial support. You could do things even more proactive that are more underground. So in average, and this is a long-winded answer because it's a difficult question, depends on your situation. There might be a time and place for you to be provocative and be more clear as an ally. But depending on your situation, your identity, the situation, your life alignment, there might very well be a reason for you not to be doing that. Up to and sometimes, sadly, including nullifying part of your identity. And I'm not the guy to say that. However, a wonderful written, when I was hanging out with my friend Margaret Killjoy, she came out for her book tour. And it was just before she was touring on the book tour before the election. And she didn't know, the election is what it is. But the result of the election, regardless of which way it went, we didn't know what the cultural vibe was going to be after that. Was it going to turn into outright social chaos? Was it going to be chill? Regardless. And she said she brought with her the clothes, scissors, to go into, quote, boy mode. I would never ask anyone to do that. That's not my place to do that. I'm just saying, she didn't have to do that. Thankfully, things were, for however it went, things were relatively chill. However, and she wrote a whole piece about it, which I think is worth reading. And I've linked to it here on InRange already. However, that mindset makes sense to me. And I know I would do the same myself. I am a micro niche internet celebrity, right? Tiny, but get recognized. Sometimes at innocuous places like the gas station or a pizza place. If I needed to not be seen because the situation was dangerous enough to me that survival was my first priority, I would take steps to make sure that that was less likely. Shave my beard, change my clothes, maybe not use my voice at the moment. And that sucks, but survival is the utmost priority. And if you're not surviving, you're not here for the fight tomorrow. So that's my answer. Appropriate when necessary. If you have privilege, use it. Be a real ally. And if you're in a situation where that's not viable for you because survival is more important, whether that means just your own mental health, then do that. Because we need you here.